Birthdays are supposed to be a time for pleasure, love, and family get-togethers. But this year, Chantel's special day included more than just a cake kit and candles. Concluded with upheaval, betrayal, and a family dispute so open that fans can't stop talking about it. What started out as a celebration quickly turned into one of the most shocking outbursts ever caught on camera. With Chantel and Jackie in the center of the mayhem, the whispers began in the early hours of the nighttime. But no one thought they would escalate into a full-fledged brawl. "This is it," Chantal said Jackie. Cameras caught her voice trembling and her phony smile disappearing. The room became chilly as they said, "We're finished." As guests exchanged nervous glances, even family members tried to step in. But Chantal was already pulling away from the woman who had been at her side. What could have been a great evening quickly turned into a remarkable pandemonium that ruined friendships and led to the public disclosure of secrets and accusations. Because it was so spectacular. Online followers are already calling the episode one of the most crazy birthday meltdowns ever. But how did a birthday celebration with candles turn into a full-scale fire? Stay tuned because the story only gets deeper. While the music continued to play, Chantel's remarks stabbed through the room like a blade. She seemed to be making a toast as her tone wavered. But it quickly became apparent that she was expressing something far more serious. No one at the gathering will ever forget the way she talked after making eye contact with Jackie. "You've gone too far with me. For tonight, I'm done." The environment was different a second later. Forks the dishes rattled. The laughter that had been in the air minutes before disappeared, leaving just the tense silence that followed her confession. Jackie stared, clearly taken aback, and her lips opened as if to respond. Her fingers tightened on her glass. But Chantal was already stepping back, anger swelling in her chest. Most of the people there had no idea that the tension had been rising for weeks, despite the growing allegations about Jackie interfering in Chantel's personal issues. No one expected Chantel to encounter Parchically on her birthday in such a noticeable manner. But all that tense civility earlier in the evening was caught on camera. The tentative smiles of the two ladies and their friendly but cold exchanges. It boiled for a long time before finally exploding in front of friends, relatives, and bystanders who would then share their feelings on social media. Finally, Jackie could talk. "Really, Chantel? On your birthday, you would want to play it this way?" Her words were tinged with disbelief, but they also hinted at something more caustic. As if she had her own version of events that she was keen to tell. She stood up from her chair and arranged her clothing as if preparing for battle. They didn't flinch. "Don't pretend that I started this. You've been talking about me behind my back, dragging my name, and trying to handle matters that don't affect you. I haven't spoken out of reverence, but respect is a two-way street, Jackie, and you took mine away." Gasps filled the room. A few family members tried to defuse the situation, but it was clear that both women had had enough. Everyone in the audience was talking and buzzing, trying to piece together what she might be. "You want to make me the bad guy? But perhaps people need to hear the truth," Jackie snapped back, her voice rising. "You pretend to be flawless, but we all know that you're hiding more than you really are. It's not me who keeps secrets." "Say it then," Chantel hissed, her eyes narrowing as her jaw tightening. "If you're brave enough, say it aloud in front of everyone." Jackie paused for a second. She glanced at the dozens of eyes waiting and observing the room. "You want to act innocent, Chantal? Okay, but both you and I are aware of the reality," she said, shaking her head and laughing bitterly instead of revealing whatever bombshell she was hinting at. The strain was unbearable, and when she finally confessed, the cameras caught every moment of her agony. "Jackie, you were more than just a friend to me. You were family." Chantel's mother stepped in, whispering for her to leave while placing a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Chantel shook her head, but Chantel's mother intervened, whispering for her to leave while placing a hand on her shoulder. "I let you into my life because I trusted you with everything. And you have no idea how deeply that cuts." Some guests looked away, unwilling to watch what seemed like a family disintegrate in front of them, as those words appeared to pierce the atmosphere more than any yelling. Jackie, however, refused to display vulnerability and instead had her arms crossed in a stubborn manner. "Don't act like you're the only one who's hurt." Jackie said, "You've made choices that affected all of us," with his palm hanging close to the knobs. The DJ seemed uncertain about whether rewinding the playlist would improve or worsen the atmosphere. Fans who would later view footage online couldn't believe what they saw. And the whole party felt paralyzed, suspended in this non-ending war of words. Someone tries to hold you accountable. Suddenly, they're the enemy. "I'm not going to apologize for telling people what's really going on," exploded in the hours after the broadcast of the film. With many assuming the truth Jackie was concealing, studying body language, and taking sides. While some criticized Chantel for exaggerating and turning her birthday into a spectacle. Others praised her for her bravery in standing her ground. Chantel's close friend tried to step in inside the event, but the consequences were swift. "Don't attempt to quiet me," she yelled. "If Chantel want to break up their relationship tonight, walking away with my dignity, which is more than I can say for you," Chantel said, her hands shaking but her voice steady. The words came like a final blow, and Jackie looked hurt for a moment. As if she hadn't expected Chantal's scathing tone, but she quickly covered it up with another hollow laugh. "You'll regret this, Chantal," she warned, her tone low but full of meaning. Chantal isn't leaving clean, though Dot shared uneasy looks. What did Jackie know that she wasn't telling him directly? The mystery only widened the chasm between them. No more accusations were made, but there was a palpable energy. Something important was being kept quiet, and it wouldn't be long before it was revealed. The birthday, which ought to have been a joyful occasion, had become a battleground, and everyone in the room knew that a relationship between Chantel and Jackie would never be the same again. As Leek sat unhurt on the table with candles burning down to puddles of wax, the cameras focused on the stunned family members' faces. Chantal's younger cousin wiped away tears and said, "Why here? Why now?" Some conjectured that Jackie could have been planning it all along, anticipating the perfect moment to humiliate Chantel. Jackie didn't seem to have one despite her resistance. Rather, she had a sense of uneasiness in her eyes, as if she had overreached herself. She lifted her glass in a mock toast and said, "Happy birthday, Chantel," but she wasn't in the mood to admit it. "If you wanted it to be memorable, I hope it is." As Chantel turned away and gulped hard, her shoulders stiff with pride but her eyes glimmering with silent agony. Cameras caught every detail, every break in her poise, and every flare of rage she was trying to contain. The silence that followed echoed with the sharpness of those remarks. That night was not just a poorly managed party. It was the beginning of something much more important. The harm was done, even if the dispute was not completely recognized yet. And within days, invites to family gatherings became divisive topics. Jackie wasn't going to back down, and Chantel wouldn't attend any gathering where Jackie would be. Their conflict had become public knowledge and had compelled family members to choose sides, with some to help bridge the gap between Chantel's feelings of betrayal and others who sympathized with Jackie's claims of being silenced during one particularly emotional family dinner. Chantel's cousin suggested that perhaps the two of you could just talk privately, without cameras and without everyone watching. With a calm but hurtful voice, Chantel shook her head. "She hung something over me like a weapon, in addition to embarrassing me. That's what she calls family. Then I don't need it. Of course, she wants me to stay quiet. She knows if I spill, her image crumbles. And I'm tired of protecting people who don't protect me." Jackie laughed bitterly when she heard this plea. The rumors of a secret continued to spread, and soon it wasn't just family members whispering, but also the fans. Theories included betrayals involving financial scandals and a dot. Cameras once saw Chantel, who was obviously worn out, gathering with a tight group of pals. The ambiguity further heightened the drama, and both ladies became unwilling stars in an uncontrollable storm. "I didn't ask for any of this," she said, tears in her eyes. "I just wanted a birthday where I could feel loved." Instead, it turned into a nightmare. Despite what some people think, I'm not hiding anything. The worry lingered despite her friend's reassurance that the truth would ultimately come to light and that she didn't need to defend herself to strangers online. Interviewers, meanwhile, were approaching Jackie to get her version of events. She first refused, but after a heated discussion, she said, "I didn't plan to ruin her night, but when someone paints you as the bad guy long enough, you stop protecting their secrets. Let's just say that even though I held back last night, I won't do it again." Online, Jackie's sister was bombarded with questions about whether she condoned the rivalry. And Chantel's closest friend was accused of knowing the purported secret. There was a frenzy after she spoke. What on earth was she talking about? Every fan account engaged in infinite speculation by looking over old videos, examining previous posts, and looking for hidden messages. Everyone was on edge because Jackie wouldn't explain. And the dispute just became bigger as a result. She or Chantel, family members who had remained neutral, were now under pressure to choose sides. And many privately admitted that the tension was intolerable. In a shocking scene, Chantel's aunt, Kesa, who typically serves as the family's peacemaker, broke down during a call that was later leaked, saying, "I can't do this anymore. This isn't about a birthday. This is about years of resentment. If they don't end it soon, it's going to tear us apart." The birthday fight was just the spark that lit the powder keg. And instead of waning over time, the hatred became more intense. Jackie felt underappreciated, often giving help but never receiving recognition. And Chantel thought she had overreached herself too often by meddling in matters she had no right to. No one recognized the depth of their wounds. Their emotions sometimes betrayed them in spite of the animosity. Chantel was seen looking through old photos of her and Jackie snuggling and laughing together when they were younger. There were two categories for group conversations. Family meals were canceled. Jackie's name was always close behind Chantel's whenever hers was trending online. She asked, "How could it become this bad?" Meanwhile, Jackie the Family Feud was no longer just personal. It had become entertainment for fans, a plot that people followed as religiously as their favorite television series. Both women were hurt, felt deceived, and neither seemed ready to take the first step toward reconciliation. I told a friend, "I'm sorry we got to this point. I can't allow her to portray myself as weak, even if I detest the fact that she views me as an adversary." The question remained beneath the spectacle. Though, was this truly the end of Chantel and Jackie's relationship? Or was there still a chance, how remote, that something could repair what had been so publicly shattered? As Chantel and Jackie's feud grew more intense, the weight of public scrutiny began to affect every part of their lives, transforming what had started as whispers at a birthday party into full-blown speculation on social media and gossip websites. Fans weren't in the current chaos. People felt it was a covert swipe at Chantel. But back then, it appeared innocuous. She had responded, sipping her drink with a knowing expression. They were going through old footage, resurfacing interviews, and pointing to subtle exchanges as if they were detectives unearthing evidence. And they were no longer just talking about the fallout. One clip in particular, from months ago, showed Jackie saying in a cryptic way during a casual lunch with the group, "Sometimes family isn't who you're born with." She has spent the whole time getting ready for this. One Intel, who was already under a lot of stress, began to avoid public appearances. Her once vibrant posts became sparse, and when she did go on camera, her eyes showed exhaustion. Close friends revealed that she was barely sleeping because she was afraid of what Jackie might say next. "I feel like I'm waiting for an explosion that never ends," Chantel said quietly to a confidant. "Jackie's always been jealous of Chantel's spotlight," was one commenter. Instead of actively revealing details, Jackie seemed to enjoy the chaos, smiling as she leaned back at a dinner with friends that was caught on camera, saying, "People think they know everything, but trust me, they don't know the half of it." One friend asked, "So are you going to tell us?" As the table gasped, Jackie chuckled and said, "Not today. The timing is during a live webcast." Chantel's cousin, who had been largely silent, abruptly expressed her displeasure, pleading, "This isn't entertainment to us. The family is disintegrating. I wish people realized how profound this is." As the rumors swirled, that footage alone was enough to ignite the internet. Other parties involved in the dispute began to voice their opinions. Her comments, however, did nothing to stop the craze. If anything, in spite of efforts to keep them apart, the air became thick as soon as the two women unexpectedly met at a get-together for mutual friends weeks later, and witnesses reported that Chantel's body tensed up the moment she saw Jackie. Jackie, on the other hand, entered with confidence and said friendly greetings to everyone without making direct eye contact with the Chantel. They merely served to feed it, leaving people to speculate about what dark truths might be hidden behind the scenes. After a few nervous minutes, Chantel finally came forward, her voice firm but quiet, and she said, "You had no right to do what you did," with a slight shudder. Jackie's tone was severe as she cocked her head, and it was not your place to treat me like a trash can. Keep in mind that I stood by you when no one else did. The room fell silent and the two collided once more, and everyone froze. You could feel the temperature drop, but Jackie wasn't ready to let go of her narrative. A visitor later mumbled, "Fans argued every day, took sides, and even unrelated celebrities weighed in. But she reacted with her own horrifying statement. You can only hide behind tears for so long. The truth eventually catches up again." Her remarks had many wondering once more. What was the truth she was implying? Why didn't she say it directly? Was she feigning it, or did she really possess something that might destroy Chantel's well-cultivated image? The emotional toll on Chantel grew as the post garnered thousands of retweets, further blurring the line between private suffering and public spectacle. Friends expressed concern for her mental health and suggested that she take a vacation and remove herself from the constant chaos. But Chantel felt stuck. Sometimes the ones closest to you know the secrets you don't want revealed. One actress wrote, contributing their thoughts to the conversation, "Be careful while treading." Over the phone, she sobbed, "Disappear. It looks like I'm guilty," adding, "If I stay, I feel exposed." Despite her seeming self-assurance, Jackie was also vulnerable. She confided in a close friend behind closed doors, saying, "Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, but then I remembered the nights I sobbed by myself without her support. Why should I protect her anymore?" she inquired. The feud between Chantel and Jackie didn't seem to slow down as the weeks went by. Instead, it seemed to live on its own, thriving on the attention and rumors. The feud was more than just a fallout from Chantel's birthday. It was a saga that had enthralled audiences and left everyone wondering how much further it could go. It carried pain that hadn't been acknowledged. "People don't see me as a person anymore," Chantel told one confidant. Between the two had become the most public spectacle, dissected and analyzed by strangers who had never met them but felt entitled to every detail of their unraveling relationship. She, so exhausted that she declared, "I'm just a headline." By this point, Chantel had reached her breaking point, and her phone conversations with friends had turned into drawn-out cries of frustration. It's only material for their argument. Jackie had to deal with a different kind of weight, maintaining her cool head and shrewd retorts, giving the impression that she was powerful in public, but the fissures were visible to those closest to her. She paced through the night, mentally reliving fights and wondering if she had gone too far. All of her relationships with her family, friends, and job. The stress of constantly being drawn into the mess began to wear on even those who had made an effort to remain impartial. But pride held her back every time she considered reaching out. Jackie said one evening, "The rage eventually spilled over into another family gathering. So why should I be the one to fix this? She cut me out like I was nothing. The atmosphere was unbearable." And despite everyone's best efforts to keep Chantel and Jackie apart, they found themselves in the same room once again. Every remark and every laugh seemed to have a deeper meaning, and family members shifted nervously and whispered to one another. It was quickly apparent that they had no idea how to avoid the final confrontation. The silence thickened as soon as Chantel looked directly at Jackie, who took a deep breath before speaking loudly enough for others to hear. "You have destroyed everything we had." Jackie's response was scathing but calm. "When you two lost interest in me, I didn't destroy you. The room fell silent, and the family was split between two women who had once been inseparable but were now at odds. The birthday incident was no longer the only point of contention. It was the result of years of animosity. After a heated argument, Chantel accused Jackie of using private moments as a weapon. Chantal had always considered Jackie as a backup, someone to rely on only when necessary, Jackie said. Please stop this before it goes too far. A family member tried to step in, but their voices were muffled by the altercation ended when Chantal hurried out, slamming the door behind her. Jackie's face was a mask of calm, but her eyes showed the storm that was building inside of her. Witnesses finally admitted that they had never witnessed such pure suffering on both sides. One family member said quietly that there was no more drama. It was heartache. The family was further split apart in the next scene, with the sides being drawn more sharply than before. Group discussions turned hostile. Family meals were canceled. And even younger cousins who barely understood the conflict felt pressured to take sides, now firmly entrenched in the public consciousness. The dispute has drawn the attention of media sources outside of the usual gossip sites. Talk programs discuss the matter, raising the question of whether private family matters should ever be broadcast. And public columnists wrote think pieces. Jackie was accused by some of being nasty and manipulative, while Chantel was criticized for being overly sentimental. Concerning loyalty, betrayal, and the dangers of confusing one's private and public lives. The dispute between Chantal and Jackie had become more than just a scandal. It was still being talked about in society. Both women carried on with sad hearts despite the chaos. Chantal tried to focus on her work, but the pain of the distance was constantly on her mind. In one candid moment, she remarked, "It's unbelievable that we're here, in the past. We spoke of being each other's forever. Now we seem to be strangers." Jackie suffered with remorse. Despite her refusal to publicly recognize it, and her friends were worried that her loss was impacting her too much, she relived their good moments late at night, their laughing, their secrets, the vows they had made in happier days. Every time she considered it, the pain came back, reminding her why she had spoken out in the first place. She wished she could reach out, apologize, and go back in time. The animosity peaked when both ladies were booked to attend a high-profile function. Cameras couldn't help but capture them together despite organizers' best efforts to keep them away. And the audience was teeming with anticipation. Would they recognize one another, or would tensions erupt once more? Jackie, as composed, returned the gesture as if Chantal hadn't been there, but the quiet between them was deafening. Chantal, dressed in startling elegance, moved by Jackie without a look. This wordless standoff, which bystanders dubbed the coldest moment ever seen on tape, in some ways shouted louder than any battle. Within hours, the video was widely shared online. The silence was more potent than words, indicating that the relationship was irreparable, according to some fans, while others believed it was the quiet before a storm. The women simply taking their time before disclosing more secrets. However, behind the public persona, Chantal and Jackie were after serving as each other's mooring. They found themselves adrift among clamor, divergent viewpoints, and outsiders who professed to be aware of their reality. Their friends silently hoped that one day, when no one was looking and no cameras were rolling, the two ladies would find a way to talk again. Maybe not to mend what had been shattered, but at least to recognize the love that had once been there. Although neither of them would admit it, the quarrel had consumed a significant portion of their lives, and they both experienced the anguish of loss. Up until that moment, the tragedy of Chantal and Jackie remained unsolved but vivid, serving as a reminder that sometimes the people we once considered family inflict the biggest wounds, not our adversaries. What started off as a pleasant birthday party quickly devolved into one of the messiest family feuds we've ever seen on screen, leaving everyone to wonder what would happen if any of them ultimately chose to swallow their tea, pride, and confront the reality of their link. The accusations, the slammed doors, the tears, and the uncomfortable silences that followed were all captured on tape. Once supporting fans are now forced to question if this divide is indeed irreversible. Social media is rife with people picking sides, scrutinizing every second, and wondering who was really at blame since emotions were running high. Did Jackie handle the matter too harshly? The interesting part, though, is that insiders are already speculating that this may be the beginning of a wider fallout. Some believe that other family members may choose to side with one side, while others believe that this feud may rage on for months, exposing more secrets and widening the rifts. Then comes the crucial question: is Chant and Jackie's relationship irreparably damaged, or will they ever get back together? There's no denying that viewers are captivated by this. What do you think? Did Jackie push Chantel too far, or was it appropriate for her to end their relationship in public? Do you believe that this family conflict will only worsen, or that there is a possibility for reconciliation? Tell us in the comments section below. This is one of the most talked about scenes in reality television at the time because of the unfiltered emotions, surprising turns, and terrible honesty. If we've learned anything, it's that there's always drama in this family. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you like watching the most dramatic reality events so you don't miss the next thrilling update. Really comes to a close.